now that we've gone through and done all of the setups for the lights and the music and a few other things for this Halloween routine, now I'm going to show you how to actually set it all up in a routine in the Google Home app. That way, when you tell one of your Google enabled speakers, it will run this routine. So open up the Google Home app and select Routines. Once you do that, we're going to go ahead and make our own routine. So we're going to tap the plus button down in the bottom right hand corner. Once here, we're going to tap Add Commands. So my command is going to be trick or treat. You can add more, like Halloween party time, or whatever you kind of want, whatever phrase you want to use to go ahead and trigger this routine for all of the things that you've set up. So I'm going to go ahead and select OK. Again, you can put in more than just 2 if you want to. You can set the time and day that you want this to run if you want to set more of like a schedule and things like that. If you want to automate it so you don't even have to tell it to do it, you can go ahead and do that if you want. But for right now, we're just going to leave it to that. I'm going to tell it when to start it. So when I say Google trick or treat, it's going to do what? What will the assistant do? Well, we're going to go ahead and add all of the actions that we've talked about earlier, except for the music. We'll do that at Add Media down below. But the first thing we're going to go ahead and do is tap Add Action. So the first thing we want to do is trigger the Philips Hue lights. And to do that, we're going to say turn on Halloween living scenes, because that's what we left the name as. Again, if you change the name in Hue Labs, make sure you put the correct name here. I just know that leaving it as the default that it already set it up as kind of seems to be working the best for me right now, but maybe you'll get different results. So we'll leave that. We'll click Add. So that's the first thing it's going to do. The next thing I want to do is to turn on my fog machine and my lights outside. Those are connected to a smart outdoor outlet by a third party. And if you want to go ahead and figure out how to set up a third-party device if you need to, you can check out the video on that if you want to, but I've got all of that set up along with the Philips Hue lights. So I'm just going to say turn on deck outlet, because that's what it's called. So I'm going to go ahead and tap Add. Then the next thing I want to go ahead and do is I've turned those on. So it's doing the lights, it's doing the fog machine outside that I have plugged into that outdoor smart outlet. So the next thing I want it to do is to start playing music. So I'm going to tap Add Media. We're going to select the music here, and then we're going to select the gear next to the music. And I'm going to say play my Halloween playlist. So I have a Halloween playlist set up in YouTube Music, so it knows to go ahead and play my Halloween playlist. You may get varying results. I know sometimes it can be a little finicky, so if you're using Spotify or something else and that it keeps trying to generate its own Halloween playlist, maybe go name your Halloween playlist to something more descriptive, and then again change the name in here in this routine so it knows to find that specific one. Sometimes you have to make it a little bit more specific to get it to trigger correctly, but you're gonna have to test that out and see how it works for you. I know in YouTube Music I have a playlist called Halloween, and when I type it in here for the Google Assistant to play my Halloween playlist, it gets it every time instead of trying to create its own playlist. So now I've got that. I'm going to tap OK. I'm going to tap Add. So now what's going to happen is when I tell my Google Assistant trick or treat, it's going to go ahead and turn on the Hue Halloween living scene to, remember, give the lights that flicker and to change the colors of them. So however I have that theme set up in the Philips Hue app, that's how it's going to run here. I've got my deck outlet set up, so that'll go ahead and run just fine. All it has to do is turn it on, nothing too fancy with that. And then it's going to play the music. It's going to play my Halloween playlist over the speakers I've selected. Now again, remember for the music, you have to go and set that default speaker for the device you're talking to. So remember, mine's the kitchen display. So I'm going to talk to the Nest Hub Max. I'm going to tell that one trick or treat, so it runs the routine because I've set up that Hub Max default speakers to all of the speakers on the main group. I selected the group of the first floor, so it's going to play over all of those speakers, not just the Google Assistant enabled speaker that I'm telling to trigger this routine. So remember, that is important, that you're talking to the right speaker if you've set it up that way. Now, the other thing you can do is you can tap change order. So, the fog machine maybe takes a minute or two to warm up. So maybe I want that to be triggered first, just so it gets going a few seconds faster than maybe the lights. I can do that if I want to and click done. Now, the last thing I want to do is go ahead and tap save at the top here and make sure that it saves. Now we're in that routine screen, and if we scroll down, we'll see trick or treat. And if we tap on it, brings us back to this page where we can go ahead and edit any of it. We can add more actions if we want to, and a bunch of other things too. So if you have other smart products you want to go ahead and add into this Halloween routine, definitely feel free to go ahead and do that, and go ahead and maybe post about it down below. Give some other people other ideas of what else they can add to their Halloween routine to make their house a little bit more spooky. Be great to hear what else you guys are doing for Halloween to make your smart home a little more haunted this year. So that's how you can go ahead and create a routine to help your smart home become a little bit more spooky this year. Hopefully that helps, and if it does, go ahead and leave a like below and subscribe to the channel to get more helpful videos like this to help control your smart home. Thanks.